Ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mona Roy, and I am your host for the evening. I welcome you all to the DSCI
Okay, I'm not
Innovation
able
Walk.
to listen. I'm not able to hear.
Innovation Walks is an initiative to encourage product development and promote entrepreneurship in the domain of cybersecurity. The intent of this initiative is to acknowledge and honor the most innovative product of the year. To begin the ceremony, please join me in welcoming Ms. Rama Vedashri, CEO of DSI, for the initial remarks. Ma'am, over to
Thank
you.
you. Yeah. Thank you. First of all, a warm welcome to the jury members and the 7 shortlisted startups who are going to pitch for being selected as the most innovative security product of the year, and the delegates and speakers and other industry colleagues who are joining us in Innovation Box. Innovation Box is one of the prestigious, keenly contested product category of DSCI Excellence Awards year on year. This has a unique format where there are a whole bunch of nominations which are first evaluated by our process partner PwC and the DSCI team. And those after those evaluations, there's an esteemed jury. This year's jury is chaired by Dr. Gulshan Rai. Then we have Mr. Rajneesh Kapoor, Mr. Ajit Menon, Mr. Atul Batra, and Mr. Narendra Nath in the jury. The product, the most innovative security product of the year, there was a jury round that was already done, and this particular innovation box, there will be live pitches. What is interesting is the past winners of innovation box, which are usually early stage security startups in India, they've gone on to become successful startups. Many of them have actually gone on to next, maybe 2 years later, 3 years later, sometimes even in the very next year, went on to win the other category, which is the security product company of the year. That's another category that is also awarded tomorrow. And PwC has been a process partner. Particularly in Innovation Box, there is an audience voting. Of course, on an on-ground event in the annual Information Security Summit, there would be a hall full of delegates with those devices based on which they used to do the audience voting. This time, the PwC and the DSCI team come up with an innovative format where audience voting is still part of the evaluation process. So there is a jury chaired by Dr. Gulshan Rai, former National Cybersecurity Coordinator, and the other 4 jury members I mentioned. But audience also has a role in contributing to the final selection. Our process partner PwC team will be explaining what is the format of Innovation Box. So 7 startups will be doing their pitches, and all 7 of them are actually spanning diverse security solutions portfolio and using innovative cutting edge technologies into the product architecture and the stack that they're building. So we do hope the best company wins. I hope they're all well prepared to impress the audience and most importantly, impress the jury. Over to you, Mona. And I wish the teams the best of luck in their pitches.
Thank you, ma'am, for giving insight into DSCI Innovation Box. So this year we have in this phase as the Innovation Box partner. In this phase is a Tata Capital funded SaaS company which secures critical web applications over 2,000 and plus global customers using its award-winning platform that integrates web application scanner, WAF, DDoS, CDN, global threat information engine, and 24/7 managed services. I would like to invite Mr. Ashish Tandon, CEO and co-founder in this phase, for his address.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. 7 innovative companies who have made it thus far in this 7th edition of DSCI Innovation Box contest. I would also like to commend DSCI for creating such a phenomenal platform for all these innovations and innovative companies to not only get recognition, but also provide an ecosystem where they can interact with customers, partners, investors, and policymakers. We at Interspace have been 2 times past winners of DSCI awards, once in the best security product category, and the other one was in the best security product company category. And I can say this from our own experience that that recognition really helped us a lot in getting our business forward. Today, in this space, is a leading application security company with over 2,000 plus customers spread across 90 plus countries. Our award-winning and unique risk-based application protection platform helps our customers protect their applications from vulnerabilities, DDoS, and bot attacks. Right in the middle of the pandemic, we were also fortunate to get funding from one of the most trusted names, not only India but globally, Tata's. Their growth fund, Tata Capital Growth Fund, invested in Interspace. Uh, I have been a Ranji Trophy player, and being playing cricket in my younger days. One thing I was always taught by my coaches was that you always need to invest and nurture talent if you want a great team. Uh, and hence, when DSCI reached out to me for partnering and sponsoring this award, I was most willing and actually very excited about it. We actually do not plan to stop here. We are going to. We would be very happy to interact with these innovative companies and see if there's an opportunity to partner with them. Uh, One maybe on the technology integration side, or we would be even open to working with them in taking their solution jointly to our global customers. Uh, Before I pass this on to the MC, I also think this is an apt forum of these innovative founders to share some of my experiences, which have helped me scale the company to where we are today, right from the inception stage. And what are the challenges, what are the things I learned, and what has worked for me. I thought I would love to share it with these founders. And maybe they can find these useful as they move towards the journey of scale. One, I have always believed and invested in a top-notch team. It is extremely important that you have a great team which is motivated, excited, shares the same passion that you have to make it big. So make sure that you have the right team, and the team has the same excitement as you have. The second aspect, which is what the entire company of ours is extremely focused on, is we are customer obsessed. For us, customers' business challenges and solving them promptly, immediately, at any point of time is the most important aspect. And I say this with a lot of pride that we've been pretty successful at that, and we'll continue to strive to not only continue doing the same, but also become better at that. The third aspect is spend your money judiciously. Make sure that whatever amount of money you are spending, you have an objective in mind. You track it at every point of time, and if you see that the objectives are going awry, make course correction. But money comes in handy. It's very important. As I'm saying this from my own experience, being bootstrapped for almost a major part of our company's growth process. So I think that's important. And finally, build your company for scale and not sale. Uh, uh, it is very easy to get carried away, but if you build your company which is scalable, which has growth, all other aspects, and the success will automatically follow. I hope you guys find these experiences of mine useful. Congratulations once again, and best wishes. May the best team win today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ashish. We would like to thank Industries for extending support for this initiative. Now I would like to request our process partner PwC to brief us on how the contestants would be evaluated today. I would like to invite Mr. Faiz Haq from PwC. Over to you, Faiz. Faiz, request you to kindly unmute yourself. You're on mute right now. Better.
Good evening, everyone. We are in the 7th year of DSCI Innovation Box. And just like every year, we have shortlisted the 7 participants, and they would be undergoing evaluation from the jury and the audience. This year, we have got 7 shortlists: Albert Technologies, Space Private Limited, 42 Technology Innovation, 1DPO, Synchronize, Volon Cybersecurity, and vSecure App. And to evaluate these 7 companies, we have got our eminent jury members, Dr. Gulshan Rai, former National Cybersecurity Coordinator for Government of India, and he will be the chair of the jury. Mr. Ajit Menon, Chief Security Officer, Tata Consultancy Services, Mr. Atul Batra, Chief Technology Officer, Manthan, Mr. G. Narendranath, Joint Secretary, National Security Council Secretariat, and Mr. Rajneesh Kapoor, Managing Partner, Indian Angel Network. The 7 companies would be evaluated on the following 3 broad evaluation parameters: the product idea, the roadmap for the product that the company has envisaged, and the profile of the organization and the experience that they bring to the table. The process would be followed as such. Each of the companies would come forward and present their pitch for 5 minutes. This would be followed by a question and answer session by the jury for 2 minutes. Request all the participants to keep their answer clear so that we could have questions from the jury and they are able to complete their presentation and question answer within the given timeline. After this, we would have the audience voting. It would be a live audience voting, and the audience would be able to vote from their own screens. The evaluation criteria is such that 70% weightage would be given to the jury scores and 30% weightage would be given to the audience scores. Now, how the audience will score? After each presentation, the voting for that particular organization would be enabled. The audience can vote them on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the lowest and 5 being the highest. For each of the voting, 30 seconds would be given to the audience, and they can accordingly rate the companies based upon their presentation and question and answer sessions. When the voting is enabled, you can click on the vote button on the right hand side of your screen, which you are currently viewing. Once you do that, the question would appear with the company's name, asking you to rate that particular company. So based on their performance, you could give them 1, 2, 3, or 5 stars. Once you have decided and given them the rating, click on submit. Once the submit button is clicked, you would see a message which says vote submitted. Post that, you can click on close to close this window, and then we would move forward with the event. This is it from us from the process side. Hope it would be a good experience for all of you involved in this. Thank you.
Thank you, Faiz, for explaining the process. We would now begin with the presentations for the shortlisted startups. To begin with, I would like to invite our first Innovation Box participant, Albert Technologies Private Limited. Dear participant, we would want to let you know that once your screen would be visible, we'll inform you. We can see your screen right now. You may present your presentation. In the meanwhile, while they're trying to present the screen, just a reminder, yes, we can see it. Yes, Akash, thank you. Yeah. Okay, so just a reminder, you would have 5 minutes to cover your presentation, followed with 2 minutes of jury questions. All the best, and over to you, Elbot Technologies. I'm sorry, Akash, your voice is not audible as of now. You may try once again to speak. We are still not able to hear you. Okay, so I'm sorry, Akash. Yeah, we would request you to try fixing your audio connection. In the meanwhile, yes, you can try it now. Okay, so we may move to the next participant, and you can try fixing your audio, and we'll get back to you. Thank you. Okay, so our next participant for today is AISS company. We would have Mr. Umesh Mota to present. Umesh, we would let you know once your screen is visible.
Hi.
Yes, we can see your screen. So as a reminder, you would have 5 minutes to cover your presentation, followed by 2 minutes of the jury questions. Over to you, Umesh. All the best.
Thank you. Good evening, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. AISS is a deep tech cybersecurity company in using AI to predict, identify, and mitigate threats across networks. We do this through our flagship product, LiveShield. LiveShield essentially is a cyber defense augmentation platform for your security fabric. It, in essence, everything that your antivirus and your firewall are missing because of lack of signatures and rules is where we come in. We use AI to identify and predict this so that we can come in at the right time so that and to log those attacks that can otherwise be harmful if activated. We do this on 2 phases. One is proactive approach towards taking threats that are disruptive towards your business at a very auto-responsive scale, and then the other way is reactive. You have a measure of scale of control on your networks or on your machines where you can actually take those actions. COVID has put everybody into chaos. One of the biggest challenges is the 3 foundations of cybersecurity, essentially confidentiality, integrity, and availability, are now in question because you don't have control over your network because your network is not anymore in your network. That bubble has burst, the non-existent bubble. Now your machines are actually outside your network. They are through multiple networks and accessing your network applications, your network layer, and the activity that is happening, you have no control on top of it. The LiveShield essentially brings visibility control to that to this problem. Now, the second biggest question is, if you have end-to-end visibility, what is the second biggest requirement that you have? You would want end-to-end behavior. You would want to understand what is happening on your network, at what scale is it happening, and can you have any kind of control on that? That is what we provide. Essentially, right from training our AIs to detect different layers of threat and an attack, to training AI to understand what is the typical behavior of processes and what behavior amounts towards malicious activity is what our AI essentially does. And to be able to use that, to be able to predict that, Sorry. To be able to predict and do that, we actually used to be having a device that could sit in your environment from that point to now completely on cloud, where we could provide the same technology and same seamless control over all the network and devices is what has helped us scale to during COVID days. We sit in two layers. One essentially in the SEM, either augmenting the SEM or towards using our own SEM, and the other at the endpoints. We do understand there are multiple products, and we can integrate with most of the products that are there. Essentially, we provide, and the augmentation that is providing is more intelligence towards you taking those actions that are otherwise missed, irrespective of what applications you are using. In a very basic level, the AI continuously monitors your network so that it can predict the attacks or predict the critical assets and the weakest links in your network. These help towards reduction of your attack surface. The second case part is towards understanding the behavior of processors and networks that are there on your network and your machine, so that the system can detect anytime there is an anomaly or anytime there is a malicious activity, so that they can be directly blocked. And the third, where behavior is suddenly changed due to a zero-day exploitation, due to some changes in the system layer or an updatation, and the AI to be able to understand and then respond accordingly. Is it a normal update, or is it a complete change of behavior towards an action, and that action could result towards a payload download or an execution. We do this through.
You have just a minute more. Just to
yes. In fact, obviously, no one solution can do all of these. So we have multiple, and no one problem can solve many problems or generate problems. So we have the 4 different products that actually solve these problems at different layers and different systems. So depending on the customer or the use case, we actually deploy them. COVID use cases have been amazing. We actually are now not just able to give complete visibility and behavior end-to-end. We are actually able to predict which of these critical assets is at threat, which of these assets that on your side are actually compounding towards a threat to the network, and towards which machines or which credentials are actually compromised, that are actually causing harm to your network. These are all the things that our AI is able to automatically respond or to give insights towards the SecOps teams that can actually predict and block those attacks towards themselves. These are the results of a real-life environment test that we have done with respect to customers before and after, that actually helped us scale our product faster. Many of them done with collaboration with other SOCs as well as partners that helped us towards understanding what the problem statement in the market needs, and as, in essence, business continuity and data security is the primary 2 elements in which around which our AI works. We have 15. We have case studies that have been proven out with respect to our problem statements. We have also white papers towards those, which you can check out on the website. This is our team. Amazing insights towards our advisories as well with respect to the problem statements that we come across and the people who help us solve it. These are the awards that we have won in the recent years, helped us towards industrial recognition as well as our technology, and also helped us towards connecting us with a few customers. Thank you. I try to speed it up as fast as possible.
Thank you, Umesh. Thank you so much. You will now have 2 minutes for the jury round. Request you to have the answers accordingly. Over to you, jury, for the questions. You may also give the scoring accordingly.
So I have one question for Umesh. What's the competition, Umesh?
Sure. Darktrace, Cylance, Palo Alto Networks, the light cyber feature that they acquired are actually good competitions to us. But in essence, we are the one of the 2 companies that actually have a deep learning framework that we built before building our product. That means the insights that we are able to evolve over with respect to our product are far higher. And because there is no other deep learning framework that is existing for cybersecurity in the market, that gives us an edge over them.
Okay. And do you only detect, or there is also a deception element in your product, which means you direct intruders to basically a deception area?
No, sir. There is no deception element in our system yet.
Okay.
We never needed it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
You made a claim about 0 day. Could you just explain how exactly you tested yourself? How do you benchmark yourself on that?
I can send you a paper with respect to it, but at a very basic level, what we don't look, the problem with any kind of whitelisted applications or blacklisted applications is you whitelist either by their process activity which is connecting to, or by their IPs and what it is connecting to. What we do essentially is we train for the behavior of a process. There are 200 sub-segments where each process is actually behaving in a certain activity to sustain in an operating system. We tag those activities, and depending on the level of interaction with an operating system, whether it is towards any other intent or whether it is designed towards that same thing, because the AI sits in your network, learns your network behavior for almost a month. And this involves all the network activity, all the machine activity, and the process activity. So we are able to tell with a very high certainty the moment any kind of exploitation happens, because we have done it, trained it, and tested it in those environments as well. So the system actually can raise an alert to the point where it knows for sure that there is a 0 day, and they can actually block it or isolate so that it cannot actually harm anything else.
Thank you.
Yeah. Mesh, number one, do you sell globally? Number two, who's your most successful customer? If you could give a sense for how long you've been deployed, what is the scale of deployment, just high level.
PwC is one of our customers. We have two very interesting customers in US. One of them is an healthcare company who we sell indirectly through a SOC. But one of the best use cases that we have found is we deployed it into a customer who had a very different strain of WannaCry that was not actually a malicious WannaCry. The Grey Hat actually hashed out the payload and just infected his network and somehow leaked onto his. So that and all the systems were crying wolf, and our system was actually doing nothing because it understood that it was not actually doing any harmful intent. And that was a very interesting case study for us and a validation for both in terms of identifying that variant of WannaCry which was very passive. But viruses and trojans are very territorial. They don't let the other ones come if it's already infected. So someone actually did this to secure the network, and somehow it got leaked.
Yeah. How many customers do you have roughly?
We have around 20 customers right now. It took us 2 years to build the technology, and we just went into the market last year.
Thank you, jury members. We would now have the voting. For that, over to you, Faz.
Thank you, Mona. So, audience, I will now enable the voting. You would have the voting icon on your screen on the right-hand side. I have enabled voting now. So you can remember, 1 is for lowest and 5 is the highest. Vote accordingly. You will have 30 seconds to vote. We have 15 seconds left. Five more seconds.
Wait, can I vote too?
The voting is now disabled.
Hello.
Let me present my screen to show the voting that has been received. If you can see my screen, this is the votes that have been received for AISS Private Limited.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Over to you, Mon.
Thank you, Faz. The jury members, I hope all of you would have given the scoring. Thank you. Now we would move ahead with our next participant for the day, which is 42 Labs. We would have Mr. Nilesh Pandey to present. Nilesh, please project your screen. We would let you know once your screen is visible.
Sure.
Yes, we can see it now. Again, as a reminder, you will have 5 minutes to cover your presentation, followed with 2 minutes of the jury round. All the best, Nilesh.
Thank you. So, good evening, everybody, and thank you so much for this opportunity. I am Nilesh Pandey, one of the founding partner of 42 Labs. Now, before going deep diving into the platform, let me basically tell you a story, very quick story that will kind of give you a gist of the platform. So the genesis of the platform actually happened in one of the defense establishment engagement that we did. And the one-liner problem statement that we received was to actually come out with indigenous cryptographic platform for Indian defense for securing the applications, digital services delivery, and the secure communication. So what basically started with one-liner culminated into full-blown cryptographic platform called as a PI control platform, and the cryptographic identity technology called as an IAM. The logos that you are seeing on your screen on the left side are basically the agencies who have verified and validated both the cryptography as well as the platform. Now, from the problems perspective, when we started thinking about creating a cryptographic platform for building trust effectively, right, was when we thought about it, we say that the root cause of all the security issues is because of the network and the design, right? The internet is designed for the anonymous access, and it is doing wonderfully for doing the anonymous access, right? And then how do we participate in this network for accessing the digital services? You actually use context-based identifier, as we call as an identity. Your user ID passwords, your email address password, and there are tons of context identifier that you actually use for accessing your digital services or even owning the digital asset for that sake, right? You use your email address to access your email, which is actually your asset. And that creates not only the security issues, but that also creates friction in the user experience. So we thought, why don't we tackle the issue of the identity? What if we have a network, identity-based network, where a participant can only participate within the network after proving the identity? And that is what basically culminated into something called as an IAM identity technology. So to think about the IAM identity technology, let's draw the parallel with the physical world. In the physical world, if I ask you a question, who are you, right? I'm pretty sure that everybody of us, when we think about it, will get series of answers saying, okay, I'm Nilesh Dande, my address is this, my photography is this is my biometric, this is my PAN, this is my Aadhaar, and tons of other variety. Now, the question is, are you one of that, or are you all of this? Right? A simple answer to that is, I'm actually all of this. So when I want to present my identity into a physical world, I take out my wallet and I present the identity attribute to the verifier so that he can basically give me the service. Why cannot we have the same thing into the digital world? That is when we designed cryptographic identity based on the bilinear pairing-based cryptography, which chains together the identity attributes to form a dynamic cryptographic identity. Now, what will it result into? If, let's say, I have such kind of identity which I can present to anybody and everybody, okay, you will actually get an ideal identity model, okay, which is truly representative of who you are. It will be tamper-proof, universal and unique, because as you keep on adding the attributes, it becomes unique over a period of time dimension, becomes dynamic as well, okay? And while designing this, we also made sure that two things are addressed. One is that it is interoperable across the digital context or organizational boundaries so that user can basically present those attributes. And second thing is it is self-service and private to the user, because identity owner should be in the possession of his data. Okay, that addresses a lot of privacy issues as well, naturally, right? That is what the IAM identity basically presents to do. Now you'll say that, okay, I have this identity. Now what do I do with it?
Sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
You have just a minute more.
Sure. So once I have this identity, IAM identity model, to participate within the digital ecosystem, okay, what I need to do to establish a trust, you need a cryptography. And for employing the cryptography, you need keys. So using your cryptographic identity, you can now have a PI control platform, which is actually providing the cryptographic services out of the box. So that means the other way to think about it, if you want to launch any kind of a secure digital service, you'll need all of this, right? You'll need authentication, authorization, e-signature, channel security, encryption of data, and the zero trust as well. You can take your resources back, which is a tunneling technology that we have. Okay, so the PI control platform is a very simple to use cryptographic platform which the enterprises can deliver digital services extremely securely. Case in point is we started implementation of this into Yes Bank around a couple of years back. Started with securing of their corporate banking customer for variety of use cases. What culminated into that, basically then we moved into retail, employees, and now the fintech partners. So what started as a secure delivery of digital services now actually is getting into a full-blown digital ecosystem. Okay, so whether you call it a zero trust security, that I'm only verifying and then giving an access, to basically giving the fully trusted ecosystem, the identity-based ecosystem where the trust is enabled by the cryptography. Okay, these are our esteemed team members. We are blessed with the phenomenal team that is there onto your screen. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nilesh. Over to the jury. The next 2 minutes are for the jury round.
Yeah, two questions, brief answers is okay. Do you have any patents? Number two, what is the adoption? Just give a sense how many customers, are you selling outside India?
Sure.
Just
Sure. So we have filed 3 patents so far. One is in the domain of identity, cryptographic identity, and couple of other are in the domain of e-signature. So we have a unique multi-party e-signature technology that is there. So these are the patents. There are around 7 claims that we are working on. So it is just a matter of time before we file them. As far as the customer base is concerned, we have 4 customers as of now. The 2 prominent customer I would like to tell is Department of Defense. So we are working with one of the really sensitive government establishment. The things are already in the product. The platform is already in production there. And the second noteworthy customer is in Yes Bank, where Yes Bank we have just launched our platform for the retail net banking as well, where we will be hitting around 500,000 users very shortly. It is just launched around couple of months back.
Yeah, there's got to be a competitive landscape. I mean, who's your number 1, number 2 competitors?
So actually, if you look at the competition landscape, I will have to basically put out 3 different verticals. So there are identity and access management companies which are there, right, which forms a competition. And because of the nature of the identity and access management, again, from the advantage perspective, we have a unique advantage because of the cryptographic identity. So there is those verticals where we compete. There are cryptographic platforms which offers cryptographic services like encryption, decryption, key management, and stuff like that, right? So that vertical is also there. And from the solutions perspective, if you remember my diagram that I have shown you, okay, in each of these bullet points that I mentioned, the authentication, you will find tons of company. Consent, you will find tons of company. E-signature, you will find PKI. For channel security, we use VPNs, right? For data security, again, there are algorithms, all the platforms which are available. Okay, the uniqueness of the platform is it basically delivers all of this out of the box. That is A. B, it is all stitched together with the identity. That means the identity generated keys, you can employ that keys to basically deliver all of these cryptographic functions or basically the trusted functions together.
Thank you, Nilesh. Thank you, jury. We would now move for the voting. Over to you.
No, hold on. I have a question to the gentleman.
Sure.
Hold on. See, you said you have already marketed this product to 2 customers. One is the defense, other is the Yes Bank. Am I right?
That is correct, sir.
I had some problem on my system, so I just wanted to confirm you are
Sure.
able to hear me.
Absolutely.
Now tell me, I mean, what are the process you followed in creating the product in terms of the validity and authenticity of the product? You have sold these 2 customers.
Yeah.
Defense, secondly, is a difficult customer, much more than the Yes Bank. So, where did you get your product tested, your algorithm tested, and whether you developed your algorithm or you only did the implementation? What kind of a basic algorithm you used? Was it the RSA or AISS or other? What kind of algorithm you used there, and how did you test the products? I mean, clear the question, or there is a confusion in my explaining to you? Hello.
So I think Nilesh has just dropped.
Now, are you people able to hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello.
Yes, sir, we can hear you. I think Nilesh has dropped.
I think Nilesh dropped out. This is Swaminathan. Thank you so much for the question, Gulshanji. I'll just try to quickly answer it at my level. So before the defense deployment, it was extensively tested by the scientific group, the FAC group. So we have got the SAC clearance, although it is not graded, but we have a SAC clearance from a AISS perspective. That is one. Second is this is our own homegrown proprietary technology, which uses Shamir's secret with bilinear sparing based cryptography. That is the innovation that we call it as IAM protocol, our own IAM proprietary crypto ID, sir. Does that answer your question, sir?
No, it does answer. The moment you say SAG has done it, that SAG will do only your own created algorithm, because SAG will never test any public those kind of a algorithm. They will never test that. They don't have that kind of a. They don't do that. I'm not talking about anything other. Okay, that answers my question. But how?
Yeah, and
how
then and from a cryptography perspective, it was tested by a group put by Dr. Bimal Roy from the RC Bose of Cryptology, and it was also black box tested by IIT Madras. Nilesh has joined that.
Anyway, you please tell me how did the RC Bose Center? You don't know. I'm the chairman of the board of management. I know what facilities they have, so you will be caught here.
Sir, from the cryptographic algorithm evaluation perspective, I think Vimal Roy, you may be aware of him, Vimal Roy. You can check with him. We have a certificate as well.
I'm the chairman of that BOG, Board of Governors there. So I know Vimal Roy very well. He's a director
wonderful.
Of the thing where I am the chairman. So I know. So that's why, I know what facilities they have, what kind of...
No, so the testing was not done there.
Issue is not an individual Bimal Roy. So, let us leave that. But I'm not convinced if the RC Bose Center has tested your product with respect
to... No, sir, they have not tested. No, sir, they have not tested. Let me just clarify, sir. So what I said is, the algorithm was evaluated by RC Bose Institute. There was a Dr. Saurav Sen Gupta, which was there, who was working under Dr. Vimal Roy. The black box testing was conducted in IIT Chennai under Professor Kamakoti, and the white box testing was conducted in a SAG lab, which is a DRDO lab, sorry, in SAG.
Anyway, I don't want to ask any questions further. Fine, you have answered my point. I don't want to go anything further, but you have answered my point.
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nilesh.
Thank you, Nilesh. Thank you, jury members. We would now proceed for the voting. Over to you, Faiz.
Thank you, Mona. So I'll request audience to get ready for voting. In case you were not able to vote last time, I would request you to refresh your screen so that you are able to click on that vote icon. I will let you know once I enable voting. I have enabled voting now. You will have 30 seconds to vote for 42 technology innovations. Request you to exercise your voting right. 1 is the lowest and 5 is the highest. Please vote accordingly. We have 10 more seconds left. The time has ended. I am disabling the voting now. We have got the scores. Let me just project my screen. These are the votings that have come for 42 Technology Innovations Private Limited. Thank you everyone who voted for the company. Over to you, Mona.
Thank you, Faiz. I hope all the jury members have filled the scores as well. We would now invite our next participant, 1 DPO. We have Mr. Amar to present. Amar, you may kindly present your screen. We will let you know once it's visible. Amar, you are on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
So,
Hey, thank you, DSI. Thank you, jury members.
Just a
Really
reminder,
appreciate
you
it.
have 5 minutes to cover,
Yes,
and
yes.
I would be asking you when last 2 minutes will be left. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity. I'll start with the team because I'm the one presenting, but it's a teamwork. The team is not here. It's just a quick introduction to our team. It's a well-rounded team. We have experts from AI, ML to business. Myself, Amar, this is my second startup that I founded. Previous was a File Cloud, which was a leading enterprise file collaboration software, which is named in Gartner Magic Quadrant. And I have an MBA from Carnegie Mellon and MS from Louisiana State in Computer Science. The team as such, we have experts in data privacy, web development, AI, ML, as I mentioned. So we have overcome many technical challenges in the last few months to deliver the product. So hopefully you see the journey in this presentation. 5 minutes is less. I'll quickly rush through it. So let me start with the problem statement. Unlike security, privacy is a very multi-dimensional problem because it is very context specific. If you think about your data, if I collect your data for two-factor authentication and use your phone number for security, that's good. If I use your phone number for marketing, then that's a big privacy violation. It is extremely context specific because data will be collected somewhere, it will be transmitted to somewhere else, it's transformed, and activities will be performed, right? So if you think about your organization, how complex the data is and how distributed the activities are, the privacy problem is extremely complex. It is pretty much wide open right now for people, for companies to come and take a crack at it. The current process, if you look at how people solve privacy, it is pretty manual, right? They run a manual process in their company. They do impact assessments, which is more reactive. I'm trying to find what data I hold, what is in the risk in the system. But these are very reactive. I'm acting on the symptoms, right? Not on the core problem. So we want to take a completely different approach, a unique approach to tackle privacy. Right? What we did is, what we are doing right now is we are applying AI and privacy engineering. We need both. It's just the AI will not cut it. I'll explain why. To tackle this problem, instead of directly attacking privacy, we go understand how a company uses. What is your data ecosystem? We look at 3 things. What data you hold is a data discovery process. Who is using, who has access to it? There's the who part to it. Why are you having the data? That is the purpose part of it. These 3 will help you to tackle the privacy problem, right? So we call this the purpose graph, a knowledge graph of the enterprise data. That is our core differentiator. That's what we build the product on, okay? There are 3 steps to it, right? One is data discovery. We apply AI, ML kind of models to understand what data you have. Then we look at your logs to see that logs and IAM to look at what level of access and activities are happening. Third is our risk models that are based on privacy engineering to understand what data is more risky. Not all data is equal risk when it comes to privacy, as I mentioned. Based on your usage, the risk level goes up, right? And if you're overexposed, the risk of breaches goes up. So we apply this risk model to understand where is your privacy risk, right? So with that, we can tackle your privacy problem, right? I'll give you a real-world example. There was this company, it is a US-based company, medical data processing company. The problem they had is they have a huge data lake where the data is flowing from different of their partners. They cannot tell which data can be used for what purpose, because purpose is key in privacy, right? Once security is different, and that's where the privacy complexity comes in, where we were able to tell exactly this is the data you got from this partner, these are the purposes you can use it for, these are the purposes you cannot use it for. That exposed the risk they had. Prior to our solution, they would delete their entire data lake every 90 days. That's how they were tackling the problem. So we kind of changed that. So that gives you a flavor of how our system works. Yeah. So it discovers your data, personal data. It uncovers the risk and helps you to meet compliance. Compliance is a byproduct. Ultimately, we reduce your privacy risk. That's our goal, right? This is just a starting point. If you think about once we have this knowledge graph
of a graph of your data environment within organizations, we can tackle other things. We started doing privacy. We are doing some data security in terms of data monitoring. Now we can do a much more better work of managing the metadata and governance, because we exactly know what data you hold, who's using it, what level of access and activities happening around it. And if you think of ethics in the future, we can add this too, right? We want to start, this is a starting point for our product, building this knowledge graph. Use this graph to tackle all of the data problems inside your organization. That's where we are at, right? That's our ultimate vision. Right? Think of this will be a core technology, like a intelligence on your enterprise data.
Thank you, Amar. Over to the jury for questions.
Okay. Hi, Amar. This is Ajit. A quick one. How do you actually differentiate the purpose part of it? I didn't see you talking about you mining into the privacy notice to establish what the data was being collected for and so on. So how exactly do you differentiate what are the purpose for which it was collected and what is getting used for?
Fantastic question. So one is we take, for the starting point is we take which department the person belongs to as a crude purpose, right? The sales, marketing, we take it from IAM, so we take that. Then we have a process for people to run impact assessments and purpose approvals. Through that process, we collect the purpose, right? So we have this crude starting point, and we refine as people start using and giving purposes. Did it answer your question, Amit?
Yeah, so, is this more of a process solution or is this more of a technology solution? Would this just tell me that I run, or would it prevent me from doing something?
The connection part is technology, right? Understanding what is technology, understanding whose technology, because I need to connect this person is accessing this, has access to this technology. But when it comes to why, right, there is estimation we make based on certain signals, like who's accessing, based on which department is accessing, we make an estimation, then we validate with the customers to make sure that's the right purpose. Because purpose is very fine-grained there.
A related question, Rashmi here. I still haven't got my head around that in an enterprise, you have, so much of data, sitting structured, unstructured, file stores, people's laptops. I still haven't got my head around how do you get all the information?
So we are starting with, we haven't done the endpoints yet. We are doing large data lakes and large file shares like Office 365. We are tackling that. We are moving into applications like Salesforce and things like that. We haven't got to the endpoints yet. So it is large data lakes is where we are focusing mainly, and file shares.
Is this on your roadmap, endpoints?
Yes. Eventually, there are 4 things we think about in broadly. One is databases, unstructured data in terms of files, and third is application data, like behind through APIs, and fourth is endpoints. We want to cover everything, but we are starting from structured and files.
Because the chain is as strong as the weakest link, right? So,
Yeah.
Amar, I just need numbers. How many total customers? How many of them are global? And what is the average ticket size right now from customers?
We started the company in September of last year. I want to give that context. So we have 5 customers. For the last 3 months, we have been adding customers. So in terms of footprint, it's US, and we are close in selling in UK. India, there are 1 customer only, but US we have 3 customers, 1 in UK. That's our footprint. Privacy is still growing. Hopefully, we'll make more inroads.
Yeah. What revenue size? Roughly revenue.
So the revenue ticket size is small, like 20K, right? For 2 and 3, we are giving for free for 3 months, but but ultimately the price point should be higher. I understand the question, but because it's a complex product, but we are giving 20 is 2,000 per month.
And right now you're focused on data lakes, right? As endpoints.
Yeah, data lake, cloud data lake, file shares, Office 365 and things like that. That's where the majority of their problems are right now. Fear is
So what's the strategy
Amar, how do you sell your software?
for acquiring customers?
So how do I sell the product is what you're...
Yeah.
Yeah. So right now, the go-to-market is, it is predominantly through partnerships, right? Through reach outs, right? Because there is some service angle to it, because a lot of companies are still learning privacy, so they rely on a third-party service company to recommend products. So we are partnered with many of, and they see the value in it, and they are helping us to land the customers. Did I answer your question? Yeah.
Yes.
Because privacy is still very early, because it's mainly it's eventually want to be self-serve model, but it's not there yet.
Amar, I have a question. This is Dr. Gulshan
Sure.
Rai. See, if whatever I have understood, if I kindly correct my understanding, your product needs a lot of customization. There is a basic modeling, you have done it, and you are expanding your model, as you said. You have tried limited factors, and then you will repeat by, you will expand it. Is what, am I right? You said it.
We have made it generic. The way we read your data, way you read who has access is very generic. Only when it comes to purpose, because it is the complex part of capturing purpose, we have a standard process which involves we have some level of machine learning and some level of user inputs in there. That requires, I won't say customization, some usage or input from customers. That would be something the customer has to do.
Yeah. So, you see, I have 2 points which to highlight it. Maybe you can react or you may not react it. But 2 issues which I see is that, one is that, and as I said in my last previous question, first sentence I said, there is a whole lot of, there's a very intensive customization of your product. Then the customers you have, few customers US and one in UK, and you are trying to get in India. How easy your product is, customization is necessary, is possible with your product? Number 1. Number 2, does the customization impact your algorithm? Because you are using 2 or 3 technologies there in your product. Does it impact your algorithm on those products? And how you validate your, how you have your validating your algorithms to determine that kind of the factor or index what you're trying to do? How do you do that? I mean, I appreciate your idea, but I think there is a lot of built-in issues are there.
So the data discovery part is pretty standard. We use 2-3 models, right? Data discovery is pretty standard. The models we use for risk is very standard. We have made it standard because we base it on privacy by design principles. There are 7 principles like purpose limitation, data minimization, and those are the 7 principles.
No, Amar, Amar, you said privacy by design. That is a problem till today. In all those systems which has been implemented or under implementation, this concept privacy by design, security by design is not there. And one of the I think Autobase or whatever, if you Authbase, he made a statement: internet was never designed for privacy or security. He said it was virtual. It was totally anonymous. It was designed for anonymous application. So, I mean, the privacy by design is a problem. That's why my question was there.
Yeah. So we have based it on that principles and we have standardized it. We are going to continue to be standard because we are not planning to do a lot of customization based on these base set of how we see the problem. We are not planning to customize it because we have very standard way of reading the data, connecting to the data, reading the data, connecting to the logs, connecting the purpose, we are, and identifying the privacy risk. There are tweaks we made, which is not, I would say it's not that complex. The algorithm is going to be remaining the same. It is just the weights, some of the weights we have to, the customers can tweak what they consider as a high risk versus medium risk and a low risk. which is, in my mind, is much simpler. So far, we have been doing without much hand-holding.
Thank you, Amar. Thank you, Judy, for your questions.
Well,
We would now.
One last
Sure,
question, sorry. Please, if you don't mind. Taking a cue from Dr. Rai's, that questions, in terms of your architecture, how does your system learn across different customers?
We don't, by design, we don't. By design, we do not learn from our customers because of the privacy things. Each is individual. Individual. That's the reason I said it's very standard. How we read the data, how we process it, how we apply the design principles. Very standard. We are not going to be. Yeah.
Understood, Amar. Thanks.
Thank you. Baz, we would want you to proceed for the voting.
Thank you, Mona. So audience, hope you are ready. We will follow the same process to vote for one DPO as well. I will enable the voting for one DPO in 5 seconds. The voting screen on the right hand side of your screen, voting icon on right hand side of your screen. 1 is for the lowest marks, 5 is for the highest. Please give the rating accordingly. We have 15 more seconds left. Five more seconds are left. I will disable the voting now. So let's see what the scores are like. I'll share my screen. Sure. So these are the votes that we have got for audience for voting. Mona, over to you.
Thank you. Just a reminder, I would request all the jury members to kindly fill the score for one DPO as well. Let's proceed with the next participant for the day. We have Seconize company coming here to present. We have Mr. Chetan Anand. Chetan, you may present your screen. I would let you know when it's visible.
I'm not seeing the presentation button here. Have you enabled presentation for me?
I would request the moderator to kindly. Yeah.
Now I see it.
Perfect.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen. Yeah. Again, you would have 5 minutes to cover your presentation. I would interrupt you when last 2 minutes are left. Please, all the best.
Yeah. Good evening, jury, and good evening, audience. I'm Chetan Anand, the CEO and co-founder at Seconize, a young startup disrupting the cyber risk and compliance management space. Either be digitized or be left behind. While digitization is creating huge opportunities, it all comes with a huge risk. With 85% of the company's assets being in the digital form, cyber risk is a business risk. Last year alone, companies lost $600 billion to cyber attacks. This number is only growing, and cost per incident, which is $4 million, is also increasing. More spend does not mean better security, and no one can be 100% secure. 99% plus of the attacks were due to vulnerabilities that were known earlier. Either the company did not know they had a weakness, or did not prioritize the remediation across the thousands of issues that were identified. Companies are managing cyber risks in a way today, doing manual checks, which is laborious and time consuming, complying to standards, which is good but not sufficient, using tools which produce technical reports understood only by the engineers, does not consider the business impact, impossible for the business leaders, executives, and the board to understand the risk and where they should be spending their time and money. Is very point in time with organizations at least, at best assessing themselves twice a year which means for almost 6 months they are blind to the ongoing risks. Sequoia DRISK Center is a continuous and contextual risk and compliance management platform which provides reports which considers the business impacts of the threats, allowing organizations to make intelligent decisions around where to focus their scarce resource in cybersecurity. DRISK Center is a cloud-based product which looks at the digital footprint of an organization, the IT assets and the applications, be it across the cloud, which includes the websites, web applications, cloud configurations, AWS, Azure, GCP, and the workloads in them, or on-prem network device, and the new normal, which is the work from home assets like the endpoints. Does a mix of vulnerability assessment and penetration testing to find out the inherent weakness, an inside-out view, and looks up the threat intel to find out the outside-in view, and also the ongoing attacks to calculate the likelihood of a breach. Uses advanced AI/ML techniques to model the risk, which brings out the impact it can have on the organization. The actionable report gives the prioritized risk view along with the remediation so that organizations can address the top risks and reduce their overall exposure. It also maps to the compliances like ISO 27001, which gives an automated compliance gap assessment view, which is very similar to your continuous internal audit. Additional benefits: investment is low, it is short time to deploy, integrates with the existing tools that a company might already have in place. It caters to holistically to the hybrid IT environment, on-prem, across the cloud, needs no human intervention, it is continuous, so you know in near real time the threats for your business, and ensures companies are compliant to regulations. My team has 40+ years of experience. We worked at Philips, Honeywell, Lucent, built and marketed enterprise products, and we have lived and breathed this specific problem for the last few years. There are a number of companies who are managing, who are doing cyber risk in a way today. The market is projected to grow to $4 billion the next year. And as companies realize that risk management is a hotspot in their organization, it will give Sequoia a huge opportunity to grow. We started in India, where we have a dozen customers, yes, across BFSI, fintech, education, and technology verticals, expanding to Asia Pacific, the fastest growing market, and is also underserved. We are pricing this as a subscription service for organizations. While we acquire customers to direct sales, we are also scaling with channel partners and system integrators. We have a strong roadmap, and as finalists of the Cybersecurity Grand Challenge, we're extending the product to also support auto remediation. In summary, the way enterprises do cyber risk today is broken, it's slow, it's incomplete, does not remove the risk in the organization. Sequoia solves this with its continuous and contextual cyber risk and compliance management product that helps business owners prioritize the risks within the organization. I look forward to speaking to you about how Sequoia is changing the industry. Thank you.
Thank you, Chetan. Over to you, jury members.
So, Chetan, a quick one. So beyond organizations who would want to do this in-house, are you also looking at targeting cyber insurance providers who can use this as a tool to measure their customers? Okay.
Absolutely. So this is one of the use cases that we started. We're also working with a leading insurance provider in India, where the problem for the cyber insurance companies today is to assess their customers and understand the risk. They may have a certificate, they may have a compliance certificate, but really, how do you understand the risk and how do you underwrite the insurance? That is where we're working with them, where we can assess this cyber posture and the risk posture of the organization before they underwrite the insurance. I hope that answers your question.
Who do you compete with?
Yeah, in terms of competition, we have one, maybe talk to our customers, right? One is the consultant companies who are still doing the manual kind of audits, and the VAPT vendors, the pure VAPT vendors like the Qualys and such, who does the VAPT, which is a technical assessment. And from a risk perspective, we have very few of them out there who do it on a very use case scenario basis. So we are one of the pioneers in this who are doing continuous and contextual cyber risk assessment. So in the Gartner segment, we are known as the risk-based vulnerability management. So that is the segment where we belong.
How many customers do you have?
We have 12 customers now, one out of Singapore and the rest of them all in India. Now we are focusing more on the BFSI segment.
Two questions. One, how do you gather the data? Do you do it through surveys? Is there any other automation there? That's number one. I mean, part of that, I assume that you run some models that will come up with risk scores and all of that, right? Number two, what is the core piece of IP that is so valuable? What are the different cases?
Yeah, from the data collection point of view, the product itself comes inbuilt with its own set of scanners. And what we also have the discovery part, which this can discover the assets in the cloud, which is most of the customers have assets in. And for the on-prem, we do not have a discovery mechanism, but we can integrate with their management software to understand what assets that they have and ingest into the product. From the scanner point of view, we also have inbuilt scanners into the product where we go and assess the different assets, depending upon what kind of asset it is. If it's a web asset, then we scan against OWASP, top 10 OWASP, ASVS. If it is servers, then CIS benchmarks and so on. Or the organization may have their own scanners. We also integrate with the existing scanners that we have. So where we come in is, how do you understand, collate all these information that you have from the different scanners and from what we gather. And from there, how do you do the risk modeling, which is understanding what does this mean to the organization. So first we do it with the computation of likelihood of a breach. We don't rely on the CVS score itself. We calculate our own cyber likelihood of a breach by looking at various factors like, okay, if this weakness is found, does it have an exploit available today? Is this asset externally facing or not? So by various parameters like this, we compute the likelihood of a breach and then extend it to understand what is the asset, what kind of information does it contain, and what does it mean? What will be the consequence? Will it just be, can I bring the server down with this attack, or can I also exfiltrate data? By looking at that, we also compute what is the risk for that organization. We give a risk score. We prioritize the risk. We don't quantify the risk as yet. So we prioritize the risk and say that, okay, knowing all these scenarios, this is the highest risk for the organization. So that you can look at the top risk, understand, we also show the remediation as part of it, so that you can find it.
In the interest of time, thank you.
I have a question. I have a question.
Yes, sir. Sorry to interrupt you, sir. Just letting you know, in the interest of time,
Chetan, you see, I mean, you are doing the risk analysis, and you are using a number of tools, and many of which are open source tools. Am I correct?
Yeah, open source and commercial, we use a mix of them, sir.
Yes. I said more of the open source tool you are using it, because otherwise, if you use a commercial product, there could be issue, and those commercial products are also cloud-based products are there. Now, your solution, whatever you are doing, that itself is a risk to the organization. How do you address that risk?
Yeah. So there is, from a point of view of, what kind of assets that they have. So if it is an externally facing asset, from our cloud itself, we can directly scan and assess the asset. So be it a web application, be it, websites that they have, or cloud configuration, we ask only for the read-only keys over there, or read-only account, so that we can go and assess it. From a perspective of mobile applications, yeah, all that we need is, the APK files, so that we can assess the application. Only when it comes to
Chetan, that I have understood it. But whatever you are doing it, that itself could be a risk to the organization in the sense that you are taking a lot of data. What do you with the data? What do you guarantee the organization? Because these are not on-prem based products. These are all cloud-based products. Whatever your proprietary cloud or a open cloud, you are in a public cloud.
Yes. So yeah,
so how
we follow all
how do you account that risk? That is a bigger risk.
Yeah, being a security company, we follow all the best practices, sir, in this regard. And we also keep the data in the same country. As we take a localization point of view, we keep it in the same country as where the customer is residing. Apart from that, we follow all the standard practices that is, for any
my dear
security
friend,
company.
My dear friend, you will have one cloud in one country. Now you can't have a cloud at different countries. Tools
Yeah,
are there.
we host in different data centers which is there in that country.
Commercial tools will be in the cloud of that commercial company, not in your cloud. So I mean that question that you are trying to solve a customer problem. If I am the customer, you are trying to solve my problem. But what about you yourself can become a threat to me? How have you addressed yourself? That you are credible, you are not a threat to me. How have you addressed yourself? How do you look after your risk analysis? That is prime most important aspect, first step with respect to your solution.
We also do a synchronize on synchronize. So we continuously assess, our environment, our company as well, to understand, what are the threats that we are seeing and what is the posture of the organization itself as well.
Okay. Carry on, Mona. I mean, I don't have to ask anything.
Thank you, Dr. Rai. Thank you, Chetan. Friends,
Thank you.
We will proceed with you for the voting.
So, thank you, Mona. Audience, hope you are ready. We would now enable the voting for Synchronized Technologies Private Limited. Voting is now enabled. You will see a icon for vote on your screen. In case you are in full screen mode, you can press escape and click on the vote and vote for Synchronized Technologies. 1 is least, 5 is maximum. You'll have 30 seconds. Five more seconds are left. 1 is for least and 5 is for maximum. And the time is up. I will not disable the voting. Let me see what the results are. I will be sharing my screen now. So these are the results for Synchronized Technologies Private Limited. Thank you, audience, for voting. Back to you, Mona.
Thank you, Faiz. Thank you, Chetan, for your presentation. We would now proceed with the next participant for the day. The next company is Volon. I would request the team members to kindly present their screen. I would let you know once your presentation is visible.
Is it able to see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen now. You may want to put it on the presentation mode. Perfect. Just a reminder, you would have 5 minutes, and I would interrupt you when last 2 minutes are left. All the best.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. So today we are presenting our product called IntelliGear. IntelliGear is a product within the domain of cyber threat intelligence. Specifically, what we are talking about today is more about problem statement, what solution Volon brings on the table, what is our business model, and what is our company profile going forward. What I've done over here is I've made a big slide over here, specifically talking about what is right now with problem statement. So we are talking about external threats to enable organizations to take proactive measures. Now, what is available in the market? There are multiple things which are available. There are threat intelligence platforms which are available, which only have platform but no data to share. People have to depend on third-party data on that. There are dark web monitoring platform. Typically, it will have a scraped data, but there is no validation, no contextualization of what data which you are getting. Then there are the digital threat monitoring platforms. So they are a little one notch higher, but what they lack into the predictive intelligence part of the system. Typically, what happens is next is the vulnerability identification. So there are platforms of vulnerability vulnerability management, but what they miss is typically on the vulnerability prioritization part. So what are the issues which are typically created for the security leadership or CISO? They're not able to identify if the threat is authentic or not. How do I know that? How do I know if the threat is relevant to me or not? How can I reduce noise? How do we know what is the context? Do we know about any past activities? Do we know about the reputational factor? How do I trust it? how do I build the confidence? And then do have enough information which I can use to take an action. I don't have to big team. The manpower is always a problem. So what do I do immediately? So that is the typical issues which are there, and that's what we try to solve by using IntelliGear. IntelliGear is a typically intelligence-driven security product, which is primarily threat intelligence, includes brand monitoring. So whatever we do is from the external side. There is no in organization setup over here. So it's totally external monitoring. What are threats to my brand? What are threats to my attack surface? We also provide IOC reputation investigation, and then very importantly, vulnerability prioritization. So today, if a specific vulnerability is being talked a lot, how do I know whether I should go ahead and patch or not? So right now in India, we are the only Indian company who are able to provide this holistic solution with the threat intelligence aspect. One issue which a lot of people have always is in terms of delivery. So there are always fancy portals which we also have. There are email alerts which we also have. Issue is that how do I try and maximize the delivery mechanism? Can I connect technology to technology? Can I go to people instead the people coming to me? So we have done integration with Slack and Microsoft Teams. So you can directly intelligence can be delivered to the Slack and Teams channel of the organization. You can connect via API. You can connect via industry standard sticks and taxing methods, and then gain intelligence. So we have invested a lot of time and energy to be able to integratable across multiple stacks. Idea is that we are very adversary focused. The intelligence is actionable and it is relevant. So unless until these three are ingredients of any products which are being given to our customer, they would not be able to harness the overall power of the intel. So how do we do that? On intelligence part, the customer-focused insights are something which are being passed on always. So customer is always primed. Customer is not left to find things on their own. We do that job on our part, and then customer is directly left to take an action. Proactive. The thing says we are able to provide early warnings. So take an example of a recent FireEye breach. We have been sending advisories for long period of time. So anybody who has utilized our intelligence over period of time, they were not affected at all because we have given a lot of early warnings with respect to all those vulnerabilities which were used by retrieving team tool of the FireEye. So that was really helpful. Contextualized ability to add context and ability to take help decision to the security management, and something actionable. So it is and can be consumed easily across variety of teams. It could be a SOC team, it could be a vulnerability management team, it could be a threat intel team, it could be any other team within the organization. It can be delivered and integrated in a very easy fashion. Just one example over here. I'm not going to spend much of time. Idea is that when we do a reporting, it is always given a good relevance for that specific reporting. How much relevant information is to me. We also have specialized on human intelligence and online engagement. So basically, a lot of time what we report is very unique, which is not available anywhere else. Proactive in terms of early warning reporting, providing the TTPs or tools, tactics, and procedures of the actors. Adding more context, adding confidence ratings in terms of how do we think it is important, and then basically writing the whole report along. So idea over here is to ensure that we are able to provide everything together so that security management is able to take that kind of confidence and action very quickly. In terms of business model, I think it's a very simple model where the services are offered in a subscription-based delivery. We have the way it is being delivered via our direct customers. We also have managed service providers and resellers. So it's a full-blown partner network which we have. And then typically the customers which we have are typically middle and large size customers. So then there is also a way it has been delivered for end customers. It is given as a fixed price subscription. For partners, it's modular pricing. For resellers, it's a bundled pricing. So there is a lot of work has been done on the business and commercial model so that it is being able to commercialize in a very effective way that we can do it. very extensive partner. We have 18 partners to go to work with us. We have a series of go-to-market partners, OEM partners who we bid directly through a lot of customers, and then the technology integration with the technologies where we can deliver intelligence directly to these technology platforms. Going in terms of customers, it's quite a big list of customers. We have around 32 customers as of now across multiple verticals. It could be banking, it could be payment and industry, it could be IT organization, it could be oil and gas, media. So we have customers all across the board from multiple ranges. About Volon, I think we started 3 years back. We are completing 3rd year in this December. Right now, only complete holistic threat intelligence company in India. Each of the co-founders, we have 3 co-founders. Everyone has 20+ years of experience, including myself. I was involved in setting up multiple teams throughout my 25 years of career, including setting up CERT at multiple locations. I also had a hand while certain one was being set up during the initial time in 2003, 2004. So idea is the team is very highly skilled. Past employers of the team members are specifically coming from variety of good organizations who have loads of experience over a period of time. In terms of qualifications, certifications is definitely our paramount, where we try to cover those things all together. And this is our 3 co-founders, management profile. Kapil and myself are on this call right now. We'll be able to answer the questions. And Sagar is also one of the co-founders, coming from variety of background, coming from different background, and trying to ensure that we are able to address the issues which we face as a startup very effectively in different domains. So I think I'm done on my part. If you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer those.
Thank you. Dear jury, just in the interest of time, we can take a maximum of 2 questions. Over to you, jury.
Okay, maybe that I can go first. So the question I have is, as you scan all of this external information, many of these is actually in different languages. You know, whether it's Russian, whether it's Chinese, whether it is Korean. How do you process all of this?
Yeah, so we have combination of things. So we have some core skills which we have in house, specifically on the few language sides, in terms of Russian, in terms of Urdu, in terms of Arabic. These core skills which we have in house, team skills, and then rest of other languages, we use variety of translation tools and products, and utilizing those the harnessing those platform of translation as of now.
Yeah. You talked about a lot of channel partners, etc. How many of those actually use your product for their own internal operations? I didn't see the overlap there.
I can actually take that question. We've got 3 of them who are actually using it, as well as taking it to their own customers as well as prospects.
Okay. Could you name them?
Sorry?
Could you name the company?
Yeah, it's NetMagic. NetMagic is actually using it and taking it over. KPMG is the second one, and then we have Tata Advanced System as the third one.
Okay, thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, jury members. We would now proceed with the voting. Over to you, Faiz.
Thank you, Mona. So, audience, we'll follow the same procedure for Volon as well. The voting has now been enabled. Request you to vote for Volon Cybersecurity Private Limited. In case you are on full screen mode, I would like to remind, please minimize your screen so that you can see the voting tab on right side of your screen. 1 is for lowest, 5 is for maximum. We have 5 more seconds left. Time is over. I have now disabled voting. Let me just quickly pull out the results. So these are the results which have come for Volon Cybersecurity Private Limited. Thank you, audience, for voting. Over to you, Mona.
Thank you, Team Volon. Thank you, Fez. Our next participant is vSecure app. We have Venu Rao, who would be presenting the screen. May I have vSecure app?
I'm here. I hope I'm visible.
Yes.
Right.
You may try sharing the screen. I will let you know once it's visible.
All right. Is it visible?
Yeah, it is.
Yes, it is, absolutely. So you have 5 minutes to cover your presentation. I will interrupt you in the last 2 minutes.
Sure.
Please, all the best.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Venu Rao. I'm the co-founder and CEO of vSecure app, and I'm here to present our product Strobes. Well, I just realized that even Seconize is our competitor, so let me try it and put it in a different way. Well, talking about the problem statement, we all know about WannaCry ransomware and the very recent Maze ransomware that attacked Cognizant. Well, what happened? Companies used multiple vulnerability scanners for applications, network, and cloud that produced thousands of vulnerabilities and hundreds of reports. And Gartner says only 3% of vulnerabilities requires immediate attention. And humanly, it's impossible to do so because of inefficient vulnerability management system in place. And C-level folks today doesn't have sufficient data or real data to measure the true risk of their enterprise. And we want to address these problems with our product, Strobes, which is a risk-centered vulnerability management platform. So what do we do? Firstly, it's all about security automation. Our platform has inbuilt open source scanners like Seconize, but also has integrations with all the top commercial scanners like you see here. So companies can create their own security pipelines, like which scanner needs to be triggered for what asset, at what time period or an event. You can design it and Strobes will automate it. And then the Strobes engine will aggregate the vulnerabilities from these different sources, automatically deduplicate and prioritize the vulnerabilities based on multiple parameters, and eventually give the curated list of vulnerabilities to different stakeholders so that they can address them immediately. And most importantly, the C-level executives will have a comprehensive view on the security health index of their enterprise. So let me dig deep. How are we prioritizing the vulnerabilities? Firstly, we take into consideration the technical context, that is, the severity of the vulnerability that is thrown by these scanners. But most importantly, we try to understand whether a particular asset is a public-facing asset or an internal asset. Whether the assets carry a business critical information like your PII information, transactional information, or it's just a non-critical application. And in real time, we correlate with 13 different threat intel sources to know whether a particular vulnerability has an exploit available, whether there is a patch available, and accordingly, we give scores to each and every vulnerability. So in this way, we're trying to help the security analysts to ensure that high-risk vulnerabilities or critical vulnerabilities needs to be addressed immediately. So we believe that our platform is for different stakeholders pertaining to security like here, and the objective is to make their life easy. And how do we do that? Let's start with C-level or CISOs typically. So not just about security health index at a macro level, we help them in identifying or to getting to know the security scorecard or different strategic business units that is located across the globe. They can also find the security health index of their critical assets versus non-critical assets and generate N number of reports that includes asset-based reports or compliance-based reports. And for SecOps, now they need not fiddle with multiple reports. We are there to help them ensuring that the vulnerability management is 10 times faster. So hence, removing of duplicates and automatically prioritizing the vulnerabilities is what they're looking for. And then finally, be developers or the DevOps. The best thing for you guys is We transform your DevOps into DevSecOps in 3 simple steps. We integrate with your SAST, your DAS scanners with the help of your CI/CD pipelines. We also integrate with other tools like Jira, Slack, ServiceNow, ensure that you get the critical vulnerabilities in real time so that you can fix it even before it's too late. So it's a unified command center that serves the purpose for all the stakeholders in any enterprise company. Coming to traction. Thank you. Coming to traction, though we launched this product commercially in the COVID times, yet we received some success. So we have 2 customers, NPCI, and we deployed it on-prem as Dr. Gulshan Rai sir's question about security of the product. So that's why we deployed on-prem to NPCI. And Mobile Premier League is a new generation tech company, so they are happy with the cloud. We did the same. We have partnered with the likes of Accenture and NTT, the global companies helping us in the G team, and a system integrator in Singapore, which is Evolabs. Of course, there are a lot of POCs are going on, and 3 best are over here. So though we launched in 12 months back, we have tasted the early success, and thanks to the awards that we have won at the RSA conference, Microsoft, and whatever you see here, and we have learned a lot from our accelerators, especially Australia's CyRise and Singapore's I-71. Not to mention that India's very own cybersecurity accelerator, which is CCOE, we are a very proud member of that particular accelerator as well. So signing off here, I'm Venu Rao, co-founder and CEO. So all I would like to say is Strobes will help you be like a superhero. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rao. Over to the jury for queries.
Yeah, you're basically aggregating, lot of the insights, right? And you're presenting it in a very nice fashion. And what's the core algorithm technology? I mean, what's the secret sauce?
Yeah. So before aggregation, Mr. Atul, it's first is about security automation, because today, if you see, though there are multiple scanners, multiple dashboards needs to be accessed to run or to schedule a scan. But with the help of Strobes, one single dashboard you can access, you can run, you can control all the scanners, and you can create your own security pipelines. So that's the first important part. Second thing is from a prioritization perspective, that is our secret sauce. So as I said, prioritization is not just based on the CVSS score. So we take into consideration the multiple parameters like I have explained. And based on that, we correlate with 13 different threat intel sources today, which helps us in identifying which are the real or the critical vulnerabilities that have an exploit available and that needs to be addressed immediately. So that's our secret sauce, and we are still working on our machine learning algorithms to make it more efficient.
Okay, thank you. I would request Faiz to proceed with the voting.
Thank you, Mona. We will now vote for vSecure app. And I have enabled the voting. Request the audience to please vote. Reminder, in case you are on full screen mode, please minimize. And you can see the voting icon on the right-hand side of your screen. 1 is for lowest, 5 is for highest. 10 more seconds are left. We are currently voting for vSecure apps. And the time has ended. I have disabled the votes. Let me just pull out the results quickly. Here are the results for vSecure Apps Private Limited. Thank you, everyone. Mona, over to you.
Thank you, Albot Technologies. Thank you, Faiz. We would now move ahead with the 7th and the last Innovation Box participant, the Albot Technologies Private Limited. May I please have Dr. Akash Singh?
Hi, can you see my screen?
Not yet. I would let you know once your screen is visible.
Okay.
You may want to open your camera as well.
Okay, so you can hear me as well?
We can hear you, yeah, as well, but your presentation is not yet visible.
Okay. Okay, now it's visible. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see.
Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you. I apologize. No, I was not able to speak because of the audio problem.
No problem. Thank you so much, and all the best to you. You have 5 minutes to cover your presentation. I'm sorry, but I will have to interrupt you when last 2 minutes are left. Please continue.
Sure, yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much for giving us the privilege, and special thanks to Jerry. So we work on integrated cybersecurity, and most of the companies who presented, almost we have all the products what they have presented. So I'll just go quickly and show about the differentiation. I mean, we see the problem, and especially in the cyber criminals, right? So we gonna lose approximately like $33 billion by 2023, according to Juniper's research, and that's because of the data. And by 2021, the world economy is going to lose over $6 trillion, according to cybersecurity ventures. So this is a very serious problem. So I worked with IBM, and then I learned about AI. I worked in data science pieces. And then after that, I thought, let's go do a startup. And I opened a startup in Silicon Valley, California, Palo Alto. I ran a company on blockchain along with my partner, Masood. So he's a professor from Berkeley. And we sold that company in 2015. And after that, I thought, we should definitely go and do something for India. And that's when we started a company in India. And here's my, team members who helps me in designing, business models as well as the technology. So have some of the customers we worked, last years in the Middle East as well as in Silicon Valley in California. We work with Cisco, Apple, Uber, and few others in India as well in defining our AI products. Now, this is our holistic approach. What we do, we have, we call it as AI-based cybersecurity. Our secret sauce is AI algorithms, and we have pioneered deep learning algorithms and very specific to targeting the anomaly detections, whether it's network or data classifications, where there is data losses there in terms of data loss preventions. And we have working on some deep generative, where we see the deep fakes, where the data that comes in looks very real, but it's a fake data. That's where our algorithms comes in. And we have enhanced, deep reinforcement learning, similar to like how a child, takes a football and starts playing and learns how to play. And that's what our algorithms are. So we work, whether it's endpoints, forensics, or IoT, or OT. So last year we worked in Qatar for oil and gas, where we were taking data from their sensors, analyzing it, whether it's the pressure sensors, looking into the PLC controls, and analyzing, if there is a change in pressure sensors or the volume or flow that flows in the pipelines, and that's for the critical. And same we did for electricals as well, where looking into the AMI meters, looking into smart grids in Qatar. And we primarily looks into attack vectors. So I'll give you simple examples. If somebody we receives an email, and that email is a suspicious email, it's a phishing, so we consider that hey, it's a suspicious activity, right? And then we consider that after taking it, we see will there be ransomware, because we have algorithms we design to looks into deep nets and looks into where they have counter terrorism sort of those aspects, right? So in our systems we have the threat intelligence, where we have built a data lake, where we go and gather the data from the different sources, as well as we get from the different IOCs as well, and then apply enterprise knowledge graphs, what other vendors also talked about, And based on the Neo4j and graphs that we create, connected graphs and looks for the similarity measures, what those similarities are, and create, risk scores, and that gives us risk accessibility. And then we analyze, is there a vulnerability within the systems? We have the scanners that we have designed our own. We have the open source scanners as well. We don't use any commercial products because we want to deploy it on the on-prem. So we also offer on the cloud, but the banks that we work, they will say their data is very secured, and they want to be in-house. And same, what question Dr. Rai asked, whether your system is protected. So we were vetted by some of the authorities. So they first tested our systems and then let us put their systems in the bank, where we gather their data from the scenes, analyze it, looks for some of the suspicious activities connecting to their Active Directories, their email box for the transactions, as well as looking into the network traffic. So we can able to recognize the encrypted network traffics, what Cisco is doing similarly, and analyze whether there is a threat vectors in that or not. So we provide solutions for premises and cloud, and thanks for the grand cybersecurity challenge for the first phase that helped us to build self-healing systems where we can detect an attack at the time and then the patch and safeguard the systems. We also have so we have the AI platforms where we look for natural language processing, knowledge graphs, we deploy the reasoning, and this is our secret sauce, where we really build this reinforcement learning. Here's the knowledge graphs looks like, so where we just don't look into the one, we look into the entire in the context and previous and approaches and previous past attacks in the ones. Here's how some of the screens looks like. So let's example here, we have vulnerability of Drupal. We look for the entire kill chain and lies whether it's lateral flows or northeast, and then weight is done, right? So here's an example of recons, exploits, and then CVC, the traceability, whether it's for from a web directory or Drupal, or whether it's a DNS internals or DNS poisoning. So we take a very holistic approach, not just one shot, right? Here's some packet that we go deep down into the packet PCAP. These are PCAP files where we go looks into much more detail, so we can analyze the traffic flows that comes in, whether it's encrypted or safeguards. And here's how we do the full detections and do a risk scoring based on our algorithms on AI and machine learning. We use random forest here. And here's another example of we can define different securities and threat models to prevent any kind of anomalies or vectors that comes in. Here's an example from different states in US where we did some work on finding out the vulnerabilities, looking into the exploits and PCI failures. Here's an example for network traffic matrices, how the network is going, and we can support a very large network of traffic that flows in critical vulnerabilities and detections, risk groups. Here's how the maps looks like. As I said, that we have the knowledge graph is pointing to some of the database activities, the vulnerabilities, patches are not being done, or insecure transactions between the TCP connections and session hijacks as well. We also have other products on MFA, which we implemented in Qatar for multi-factor authentications, which is purely passwordless authentication we did. And that's our complete portfolio, right? Whether it's endpoints, forensics, encryption, decryption, tokenizations, for IoT devices, and authentication and authorizations. This is for vulnerability assessment. So we take the code assessment, whether it's SSCT, whether it's static or dynamic analysis of the code, as well as providing the complete end-to-end orchestration, incident management, and looking into the bitmaps of malwares or botnets. We also have APIs that we created for deep webs, dark webs as well, where we look into those data sets, whether it's for banking data like credit cards or PHI, PI data for data anomalies, classifications problems here. We did some work in US in PG&E for their power grids, where we were looking into their power generation, smart grids, analyzing their bidirectional flows, talking directly to their PLC controls and SCADA systems for the sensors and finding out the anomalies out there. So some of the work which did with medical industries, IoTs, and Middle East, we did some refinery work. We did some work with Canadian OT and some water companies as well. And these are our strategic partnerships. We have a very large, we did some prototypes here, some of our customers on telecoms and healthcare sections. And these were last year work that we ventured into an open company in Qatar, where we continue to work with some of the banks and the government agencies there in terms of deception technologies, operating smart contracts on blockchain, some of the financial institutions. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Singh. Okay, over to the jury for questions.
Yeah, your 2-year-old company is for the state of May 2018. So all of the work that you've shown, it's been done in the last 2 years? That's the first question. And you talked about filing for an IPR. So what is that IPR that you have filed?
Yeah, so right. So this company we started in 2 years, but we have been operating from US for 5 years. So 2015, so almost 6 years we have been. And then 2 years ago, we started a company in India. We have a branch in Bangalore, Pune, Hyderabad, and Chandigarh. We have 60 people now working with us. So IP that we have filed is in the US patents. We filed for anomaly detections. We also filed for our AI algorithms for deep reinforcement. So pretty much is on the algorithmic. So we believe that we are an AI company. Our secret sauce is developing algorithms. That's our background.
So if you look at the innovative product that you're talking about, is the AI part of it.
That's correct. That's our
solutions. In your presentation, you talked about multiple and different solutions.
Yeah, but our focus is AI. Yes. Even if you say, what is our secret sauce? Yes, we primarily focus on AI, just like how DeepMind in Google they do deep reinforcement learning. That's what we have optimized.
Okay.
We will take one question.
You claim that you have all the products that everyone else presented today. That's a very bold claim. How big is your engineering team, number one? I just need the number. Number two, how many customers do you have globally? And let us know if there are any services customers, right? How many are product customers? And if you very quickly, just tell me what you're doing for Apple.
Yeah. So with Apple, we worked. So last year we worked with Apple, and they had chatbots. So they moved from their chatbots to a Slack channel for communications, so collaborations, and they also moved from building the supply chain. So that's why they said, can we really look into the assessment of the vendors, what they have, how authenticated their supply chain metrics is. So that we look for data classifications problem. For communications, where they have opened up Slack channels with their internals, and when they share some PHI information, so our objective was to look into some of the secrets, that is, or trade secrets being shared across the messaging channels, and analyze using data classifications algorithms that we designed.
So Akash, was this a project that you did, or did you deploy a product?
Yeah, that was a product for us. The data classification product was used at Apple. Yes.
Which product was used?
Data classifications. So we built the ontologies for them as well. Yeah.
Can you answer my other two questions?
Yes, please. So we have 60 members. We are 60 members of engineering team, especially in India. We have 30 members in US as well. We work from Mountain View.
So what is the split overall of the company on product licensing revenue versus services? High level.
Yeah, so we don't do services. So we are purely a product company. So there is no services being done. So since we have a product, we work with the customer for implementations, but that's pretty much. So we don't go into servicing. We have partnership with TCS. We have partnership with IBM Global Services. We have partnerships with Accenture as well. So they do the implementation for us.
Okay.
SecureX. The product you said is SecureX. I don't know. We're not able to relate the SecureX to what you've said. This is a portfolio of solutions that you've talked about.
That's correct. Yes, portfolio of yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, jury. Thank you, Akash. So for one last time, allow me to invite Mr. Faiz Haq from our process partner PwC. Over to you, Faiz.
Thank you, Mona. So audience, this is the last round of voting that we are doing for Albert Technologies Private Limited. And I have enabled the voting. Request you to please start voting. As you now know, in case you are on full screen, please minimize your screen and click on the vote icon on the right hand side of your screen. 1 is for lowest, 5 is for maximum, and you have 30 seconds to vote. We have last 5 seconds to vote. I hope all of you have voted. And the time is up. I'll have to disable the voting. Let me just quickly pull up the results for Albert Technologies. And I'm sharing my screen. Yeah. So these are the results for Albert Technologies Private Limited. Thank you to all the audience who have voted during this entire event. Over to you, Mona.
Thank you, Faiz. Thank you to all the participants for their presentations. We are in a process of consolidating the scores. It would take 5 minutes and we would come up with the shortlist. We would be taking the jury members into another breakout room. I would request the jury members to kindly click on the breakout room, which will be prompted on your screen. In the meanwhile, I request the audience to stay tuned for the results. We would be playing a small video for you on the DSCI award. Jury, kindly move to the breakout room. May I request the moderator to kindly put on the video?
As India became a hub for global IT BPM services, DSCI was established by NASSCOM as a not-for-profit organization to serve as a focal body to promote data protection and create trustworthiness of Indian companies as a global sourcing service provider. DSCI started developing best practices, frameworks and guidelines on security and data privacy, creating awareness through reports and conferences, building capacity through chapter communities, training law enforcement agencies, and handling cybercrimes in the country. DSCI played the role to reinforce India's image as a secure and reliable technology partner. Suddenly, the whole world appeared to be waking up to cybersecurity challenges. As the dependence on cyberspace started expanding, the threat landscape started getting worse. Countries started framing policies at the national level. Several international initiatives for global cooperation started to meet this challenge. Cyberspace became the fifth domain for national security after land, sea, air, and space, and for India it was no different. To bring the public and private sectors together to deliberate on cyber issues, DSCI established a cybersecurity advisory group and published the report Securing Our Cyber Frontiers. Additionally, the release of National Cybersecurity Policy added impetus to the growing need to address cyber concerns. As cyber discussions gained momentum, DSCI entrenched its focus towards cybersecurity, and this served as a definitive turning point to establish cybersecurity as our vision. DSCI expanded and started working more closely with the government on policy advocacy and with the industry on awareness, skill building, and growing the security and privacy community. Digital technology transformation led to the emergence of manifold threats in the cyberspace, making cybersecurity the top priority for every enterprise sector and government. DSCI saw it as an opportunity and laid the roadmap to enable India emerge as a global hub for cybersecurity products and services. Upon the Honorable Prime Minister's recommendation, NASSCOM and DSCI constituted a cybersecurity task force.
Dear audience, thank you for waiting. We have the results with us, and I would request Mr. Rajendra S. Pawar, the chairman of DSCI, to announce the results. Okay. I would request everyone to kindly wait for a few more minutes by the time we have Mr. Pawar with us. Dear audience, thank you for your patience. The jury evaluation is still under process. Request you to please be patient for a few more minutes. Dear audience, please note we would have the shortlist with us now and not the winners. The final winners would be announced the other day.
Mona, we are back. Over to you.
Mona, it's a powerful announcement.
Yeah. Thank you, audience, for patiently waiting, and apologies for this wait. We now have Mr. Rajendra S. Pawar, Chairman DSCI, with us to announce the shortlist. Over to you, sir.
Thank you and welcome everyone to what has been another very interesting and fascinating set of presentations. And I'm going to read out, as always, it's been tough to figure out the best among the best, but the idea today is to put together the finalists. And among them, the winner will be announced tomorrow. So we have 4 companies, and I'll name them alphabetically because the winner, in a sense, will be out of these 4. So the first is AISS Private Limited. The second is One DPO LLP. The third is Bolon Cybersecurity Private Limited. And the fourth, again alphabetically, as I said, is We Secure App. So just wanted to mention, I was watching both the presentations and the jury deliberations very, very carefully. And just wanted to mention, I think we see more of deep tech when I compare it with the last couple of years, more deep tech coming in, which is a good sign. And it is something which we directionally are expecting to see. So this is, to me, the most significant point, if I had to make that point, that more and more in technology. And of course, we all know that the numbers, and I mentioned in the inaugural that the product category growing year over year more than 40%. And the service is also growing year over year 20%. And as I mentioned also that we are up now to almost 7% is the size of cybersecurity services as a percentage of total IT services from India, and 11% is products out of the total of the IT products in the industry. So the sector is doing very well, and the winners are obviously the pioneers, the path breakers. So just wanted to congratulate the 4 finalists at this time, and I guess tomorrow we wait for tomorrow to unfold the winner. Over to Rama, back.
Yeah. So Mona, you can close it.
So, thank you, Rajendra sir. Thank you, Rama ma'am. With this, we come towards the end. Congratulations to all the shortlists. Thank you, everyone, for your overwhelming participation. Hope you enjoyed the event. Look forward to having you tomorrow to know the final winners. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, and have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you, jury.
Thank you. Thank you to the jury. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.